Hey guys, I don't want to interrupt this tutorial too much, but I did want to really quickly say at the start of the video that I really appreciate you guys getting me to 200 subs. I also want to let you know that I'm looking at improving in both consistency and the quality of the videos. At the moment, I'm kind of happy with where the animations are at, in the sense of demonstrations and things like that. I feel like I'm doing well with those. The problem is sometimes the code isn't very readable because the videos are in 720p. I am now running a computer that can actually make videos at 1080p. Hopefully that's going to be something I'll do more in the future. Someone in the comments asked about a Patreon, and while I'm setting one up, I don't want to get ahead of myself and try and monetize this before it's really to a standard where I feel like it should be. So I appreciate you guys wanting to support me in that sense. It means the absolute world to me, but I just am not at a point with my videos where I'm ready to accept money for them. They're just, in my opinion, not good enough. Maybe when I've put out a few more, I'm not willing to charge people or like accept money for this kind of thing. Just that's my mindset on it. But as I said, I appreciate it. I've already gone way longer than I wanted to go. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching, and we'll just get on with it. So inside the animator, we're going to need to create some parameters. As you can see, we have this base layer here, and this is where our idle animation is. Now, we need something to tell it when to go from the idle animation to something else. So we're going to add the animation, and then we're going to add the parameter for the animation. So we're going to go to our player animations folder down here. And currently, I only have idle. So if you guys remember, I was going to go through creating the other animations. And I expected you to kind of do this for yourself, but in case you didn't, we're going to do that together now. Which one was he in? He was in here on opponents, that's right. So where is my run? It's literally just a 12-step animation, nothing too difficult. Click on the first or the last one, press shift, and then click on the opposite end, I guess. Drag it into the scene. It's going to ask you to save the animation. We're going to do that really quickly. So where is it? We're going to go to Assets. We're going to go to Animations, Player, and we're just going to call this Running. And we're going to go Save. Cool. Now, I promise we are getting back to the uploading stuff so that I can see it, so you can just send me the error and a link to your code. I'll then download your code, and I will run it myself and see what happens. And I'll try and debug the errors for you and tell you how you can fix them. But as I said, we need to do this first, just so there's like enough of a reason for me to make the changes and make the video, I guess. Alright, so here's... we've created the animation. I'm going to delete run 1 because we don't need it. Once again, if anyone's found a better way of creating 2D animations, please let me know, because that is annoying to do. You have to select them all and then drag them in, and it's just frustrating. Alright. So, player, hi. We want your animator. We're going to go to our player animations, and we are going to delete run 1. We don't want another controller. Another controller is of no use to our player. We might need it for an enemy later on, but right now for our player, we don't want it. So we're going to delete that. And delete. Okay, but we do want our running animation. Okay. I might need to label this something different eventually because it is running without a sword. I believe there's a running with a sword animation. I could be wrong. Look through and let me know. Anyway, we're just going to drag running into here. And we are going to click on idle, right click on idle, make transition, and drag it up to running and click on running. And you should get this little white arrow that goes in between the two. So, we're going to click on the arrow. Okay. Next, we're going to go to settings. We're going to change this to we're going to change the has exit time checkbox, and we're going to take that off. Because when we're running, we want our player to stop instantly. Now, unless you have a slow down animation, like some games do have, I can't remember if Super Mario had it, but I think Sonic did. If he was running too fast and then you suddenly stopped holding on, he didn't just stop. he had a little animation to slow down. We're not going to have that, so we want it to be no exit time, and we want to just stop moving instantly. But I believe we want it to pretty much smoothly go between idle and running. We don't want there to be any kind of transition between the two. So I turned off fixed duration and set the transition duration to 0. This should all be... You can just copy the settings I have here. Yours would probably have been different. Alright. Next, we are going to go down here and go... We're going to look at the conditions box specifically. So it says list is empty. If we click plus, parameter does not exist in controller. So we need a parameter. So we're going to go over to our animator, and we're going to click on the parameters box. We're going to create a parameter. I'm going to create a float. And we're going to just call this float speed. Just remember that we have a variable inside our script called speed, I believe. Either player speed or speed. Yeah, we've got one called speed. So these two are different variables. They are not the same. And that needs to be like really clear in your mind, because when we change things, one will not change the other. These two are not linked. Okay? So when we access this one through the animator that we put on our character, you're going to need... You're going to need to remember that these two are different. That's very important. So we're going to add speed. Okay. Now, we're going to jump back down to here, and we're going to click this drop down, and we're going to select speed. So greater 0, we want the animation to start pretty quickly if he starts moving. We don't want it to... If you tap the button that you use for movement, so A or D in my case, you don't want him to be idling but also moving at the same time. So we need this to be pretty sensitive. So I'm going to set this to 0.01. I'm going to add another 0. 0.001. And that should do it. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to click on running. We're going to right click, make transition, and we're going to go back to idle. So the whole thing is we want to go from idle to running. We also want to be able to go from running back to idle if we just decide to take our hand off the keyboard and stand still. It makes a fair bit of sense. We also want this to happen pretty seamlessly. So the whole thing before was we didn't want to go from be idling halfway through, like finish the idle animation and then transition into running. We want him to just go straight away. The same thing with running. If we want to stop, we just want to stop. Okay? We're not going to wait around for him to do it. So, we're going to get rid of has exit time, turn off fixed duration, and we're going to set transition duration to 0. That means it should happen instantaneously, by the way. We are going to go back to conditions, and we need to set this one to speed, but this one needs to be set to less than, and we're going to set it to 0.001. So pretty much when we stop moving, we want speed to be 0. When we stop running, we want the transition to occur. When we start running, we want a transition to occur from idle to running. It's pretty well simple. We are going to save, and then we are going to jump back into here. Visual Studio. Now, there's not too much to add right now. It's pretty simple to get these working. So, the first thing we really need to do is we need to go into the fixed update, running our physics. We're going to press enter. Before we call the flip function. We want to make the animation start before we turn around. It's not that important, the order, but it's the order I decided on. You could make him turn around and then start running. I suppose that might make sense. So we could do it either way. Just to show you that it works either way, we could do it. Alright, so we're going to use our animator now, which I told you guys to add ages ago. So we're going to go my animator dot set float, and we're going to open brackets. Now, this is important because you also need to remember the case sensitivity of what we called speed before. So if you've made it a capital, remember that it was a capital. I made mine lowercase. If you press space after it and then press enter because you're one of those weird people, remember that you did that and stop doing it. Get rid of it. Don't do it ever again. Now we're going to do a little bit of math that you don't want to have to calculate, so I'll just tell you how to do it. We're going to go math f.abs horrors movement. So for an explanation of that, so we've just used mathf, which is maths functions. It's a group of maths functions built into Unity, and this ABS is the absolute value. So we are pretty much taking something that could be a decimal value, a float, could be anything to, what, like 10 or something decimal places, and we're going to convert it to an absolute value of 0, 1, or -1. We are going to save, and then we are going to jump back into Unity. From what I remember, that seems to be all you really need to do to get it working. It's very simple. I could have done it last episode, but I wanted to go through the whole animator stuff in like its own video to make it worthwhile. Right, so we're going to jump back into the scene and we're going to make sure the animation is playing. So we're going to press play. We're going to cross our fingers and then we're going to move him back and forth. Now, as you can see, he's kind of teleporting backwards. That's not good. That's a pretty huge problem. So that is because the flipping is in the wrong order, I believe. Alright, that should fix our issues if we've actually got him centralized. So we're going to press play. We're going to hope for the best. That looks so much better. Oh, look at that. Now, if you want to increase the sensitivity of his turn to movement, because if you can tap really, really quickly, he doesn't really get into his running animation. Like, you can tell he's kind of moving, but... So I'm going to go into the animator. I'm going to click on the transition, and I'm going to set this to have one more 0, because we want this to be super sensitive. It's not going to change too much, but it could potentially look a little bit better, and increased sensitivity is always something you want with your animations. As long as they're not facial, but that's for someone else to explain to you. Okay. So, yep, you can see his arm goes up straight away. Now, I guess we could talk about the fact that he's taking about half as many steps as he needs to move the distance he's moving. Let me zoom in here. I can't really zoom in where I want to, so we're going to maximize on play, and we're going to go back to this. Okay, so he takes a step. He's taking a step every movement, right? And that's good. We want him to take a step, but when he runs, it looks like he's going a little bit further and his back foot is sliding just a little. We don't really want that. We want him to look like he's moving. So basically we're going to change the animation speed. So we've got this running animation. We got our idle animation, which I've just got the speed set to 1. That's probably fine. I'm gonna change it to like 0.8 because I think he breathes a little bit quickly. Really eager, but it kind of looks like he's on some weird kind of cocaine. So I'm going to set this to 0.5 to make him slow down just a little. Let's have a look at him now. He still looks like he's on cocaine, but you know, it's slightly better. So that's the speed that his animation will play at from now on. I should actually show you that it doesn't change the run speed, and it doesn't change the entrance speed to anything else. But at least he's taking a step every time he moves, and I'm happy with that. But we are just going to increase the run speed just a little bit. So we're going to go back to the animator, running, and I'm going to set it to 1.2. I think that might look a little bit better. the other thing we could do is we could slow down how fast he runs. I think that looks good. It looks like he's taking a step every reasonable set of movements. Personally, I like that. You guys might think he was running fine before and didn't want to change it. That's also fine. It is your game after all. Now, the moment that you've all been waiting for, and that I keep forgetting to do at the end of my videos, which is commit your files. So let's open GitHub Desktop. It's going to say that we have some changes. Yours will be like a little green plus button because you created a file. Mine is just going to be this little yellow dot, which means that changes were made. Now, if you deleted a file and recreated it with a different name, it'll have a red cross, probably? I'm not sure, but it'll be red. Anyway, we're going to write what the current state of our game is. So, we updated player movement. And I'm going to give a brief description of movement now runs left to right, animated, and flipping in direction. A little exclamation mark. Master is a protected branch. Want to switch branches? No, I personally do not. So we're going to commit this to master. Master is the main branch. If you remember me talking about the different trees and that kind of thing you can have for branching, you don't need to remember it. Basically, if you commit everything to master, all your changes are there. They all line up one after the other in a kind of a timeline, I guess you could think of it. So if you're not doing two things at once and just want to follow along, committing to master is fine every time, and you don't have to think about it. So, we are just going to do that. We're going to commit to master. And then this little thing here is going to say push origin. Pushing. So, that seems to be it. Now, you can, if we go view on GitHub, actually look at your repository and see what has been sent. It's quite interesting. So you'll see that I have my hello world, which was episode 1 commit. You can see that we've got update to player movement, which is what I just wrote. So we can click on this and we can look at, so this is the commit, all that kind of information that's important. So we can just jump back to code. And we can clone or download, which is what I will be doing. At the top here, this is the link to my project. You guys can go to it and look at the code that I have versus the code that you have, and you can access it and that kind of thing. So you can work out where you went wrong, where you went right, where I'm dumb, where you're dumb, where we're all dumb together. But yeah, this is a good way of communication, I guess. Going, here is my thing. If you want to DM me on, say, Twitter, I have a Twitter, which I'll put on the screen, and you can go there and DM me a link, and I will have a look at what you've got, that kind of thing. Or if you just want to leave it in the comments section and want, say, other people to help you out, that's a good way of doing it. If you're not comfortable sharing it, yeah, DMing me on Twitter, or joining my Discord and sending it to me through that. Let me know how, you know, things are going. Whether you're liking the tutorial, give me feedback. I appreciate knowing what I can do better, how I can better, you know, suit you guys' needs. So, let me know that kind of thing. Thank you guys for watching. As always, make sure you like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to stay up to date with the series, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.